What's up, everybody? It's your boy Nate. I just wanted to show you really quickly a brand new workflow that we just put out. It is a watermark remover. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. So the way that this works is just like all of our other workflows where they read from left to right, almost like a book. So you're going to start off in the left-hand corner where it says step 1, and this is where we load in our models. We're going to be using the Flux Dev Fill model, and then we're also going to load in our dual clips, which is the Clip L and T5XXL. And the last model that we have to load is our VAE. The next step to do is to get an image that we want to remove a watermark from and load it into the load image node. So right here, I already have one where I've masked out parts of the watermark, but let's say that we went over to Shutterstock and we saw an image that we really wanted to use, but of course we have all of these Shutterstock watermarks all over it. All we'd have to do is just drag and drop this image right into this node, and you're going to see it loads up that image. The next thing to do is to set our masks, and to do that, we have to right click on the image and then click Open in Mask Editor. This is going to open up our mask editor window, which is going to let us either just click and drag to select where we want to mask, or you can right click to remove parts of a mask. So I'm just going to go through here really quickly and mask out all of these little Shutterstock logos. And this really shouldn't take too long because you don't actually have to be super perfect with your masking. So I'm really just going through here as rough and as quick as possible. Now, a really cool thing about this is that it also works really well with different subjects and things that are overlapping. So we not only have hands and facial features, but we also have these tattoos and different coloring and art style. So let's see how well this watermark remover works with so many different aspects in the photo. This here looks like I've masked out every watermark, and to save this, we want to click in the right-hand corner where it says Save to Node inside of this node with all of those masks that we set. Now, step 3 is where we can type in a prompt, but for most scenarios with removing a watermark, you actually don't have to prompt it, but we left this in here just in case you're getting some wonky results. And then this last section here is where we can set our generation settings and our image compare node. But again, by default, you probably don't even have to touch this. Since all those settings are pretty much good to go out the gate, then all we have to do is run this workflow. And to do that, we need to find the Q button here, which may either be at the bottom if you have it popped out, or if you've managed to drag and drop this up in the top hand corner, it's going to be up there. So let's go ahead and hit Q on the workflow and watch it work. This is the final result that we have now from this generated image. On the right hand side, we have this image, which is our final result, and the watermark has been completely removed. Even if we were to zoom in on some of these details, like parts of the tattoos or even the hands, all of this looks like it was the original image, despite having so many different things going on. If you wanted to compare your watermarked image with your final resulting one with the watermark removed, we also have this compare your result node right here, to where just hovering over with your mouse will show you this direct comparison. So I gotta say, this result looks pretty impressive, and it's almost as if those watermarks were never even there. So anyways, this workflow is incredibly powerful, and I hope you guys have fun removing watermarks. Now, if you guys are having any trouble getting this workflow working, we do have the notes section here on the right-hand side, which will give you helpful links like to our Patreon, our Discord server, and also direct links to download the models that are referenced inside of this workflow. Now, if you guys were curious about diving a little bit deeper into this workflow and understanding some of the things as to how it's working, we have a lot of the nodes that are working minimized so that it's reducing as much of the clutter in this workflow, so that you could just focus on removing watermarks and not really worry about connecting different wires to different places. But there are some settings that you can tweak if you wanted, such as changing the case sampler settings. By default, we leave it at 20 steps, which tends to give us pretty good results. But if you wanted to spend more time on this result, you could crank it up to something like 25 steps. Or if you even wanted to spend less time on your generations, you could lower it down to something like 15 steps and still get something pretty decent. 20 steps just happens to be a really nice balance in between the two. Another setting that you might notice if you've ever used something like Stable Diffusion before is that we have a CFG value which is set to 1, and the reason for this is because we're using the Flux Dev model, which doesn't really use CFG values, and so the number 1 actually indicates that we're not really using that to impact our scene. Another setting that we tend to keep is Euler as the sampler. But for the scheduler, you can actually change some of these as well, so you don't have to use the normal sampler. Another really great result will come from using the simple sampler, and some people find that their results actually come out a little bit faster by using this as well. Now, additional nodes that may help if you guys want to see a little bit more into the workflow is we have our workflow details, which has the name, the publishing date, and direct links to get more help and more resources as well. So this worked really well for this art print but let's try it with a different example. So I'm going to go back to Shutterstock and let's type in something like a drone island shot. Here you'll be able to see all these beautiful landscapes, but as soon as you click on any of these images, we're going to get this really ugly Shutterstock logo. Let's go ahead and try this same workflow with something that has a lot of details, a lot of different subjects, like this one here where we have all of these boats, the ocean, the island, all included in the same picture. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing as I did with the illustration before, drag and drop it right into the workflow and place it on the load image and set mask section here. And then we can go ahead and zoom in, right click on it, and open it up in the mask editor. Now doing this again, we just need to select over all of these watermarks. I'm sorry, Zangril Andrea, but this watermark is about to get removed. All right, so we are just clicking this, getting rid of the Shutterstock ones. And once we have all of those selected, we can click on this Save to Node button right here in the bottom right-hand corner. And then we're going to see that it saves that node right there with all of those masks. Using the same exact setting as before, let's just go ahead and hit Q on the prompt and watch these watermarks get removed. Nice, and we have our final resulting image. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we fed it in an image that looked like this with the Shutterstock logos all over it. And here is our final result to where you can't even tell that it had a watermark on it at all. This is just amazing. If we were to go over to our compare node here, you can see just how well it was able to handle some of these details to where for one of these examples, it didn't actually have this boat right here, right? This one did not actually exist. So it added in a boat and yet it looks so believable like it was meant to be there. It took out one of these boats and just filled it in with the coral reef. So it's as if it got teleported somewhere else. But for the most part, everything else is really handled so well. Beach side here with the ocean. Over to the forest section, you can start to see it even handling the different forest trees just as well. And again, this was all set up with no prompt needed whatsoever. It was just simple masking and hitting Q on the prompt. So I hope you guys enjoy this workflow. We tried to make it as clean and as easy to use as possible, but let us know down in those comments if you found this helpful or if you're having any troubles with it. Now, if you guys want to get this exact workflow, we're going to be having a link down in that description box. It's up on our Patreon. There's no paywall, so you guys can just go straight there and be able to download it. But if you guys do enjoy it, it does help a tremendous amount, everyone who's been supporting. Huge thanks to all of our patrons who have helped put this together. You're going to see all of their names in that workflow. So thanks to them, we're able to share this with everyone. Anyways, hope to catch you in the next one. Until next time, all right, peace.